Hi everyone, welcome back to 33 Founders. We're thrilled today to be joined with Disree, Vargas Wrigley, and Ethan Austin, the founders of GiveForward. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Before we dive in, congratulations on the big $100 million goal. Can you tell us what it was like the moment that happened?
Well, there's bottles of champagne, and Ethan was in a tuxedo, and I was in a dress, and it was just a lot of hugs and high fives all around the office. And
Facebook likes.
a lot of Facebook likes. We also took some time just to reflect on like what collectively as a team. So we, as we were celebrating, we talked about what we've done over the last 5.5 years, and also took the opportunity to individually thank all of our team members and the individual role that they play in helping us do the work that we do.
So, I mean, you guys raised $50 million in the past year, which is double on what you did from 2012 to 13, right? So, what exactly have you learned that has worked best in crowdfunding for you over this past year?
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing. Well, first of all, the whole crowdfunding space is just getting so much bigger in the sense that people know about crowdfunding now. So when we started, we were one of 5 crowdfunding platforms, and now there's 1,000. Right? So people just understand and are looking to crowdfund more frequently than they were in the past. And I think the second thing is really just about the people that are coming to our site are finding us as someone that used the site and had a great experience. And we just continue to really focus on creating the best possible experience for our users. We say create an unexpected joy for them. And if we can create unexpected joy and make each step of the way magical for them, we know friends and family are going to share it with their friends and say, hey, I use this site, and you should use this site too when if you ever need it. So I think that's really our focus.
So have you added any more of these special little features focusing on the user experience?
We're in the process of doing a big migration to Rails, and so we have a lot of features that are lined up to come out with the release that I think will really help distinguish GiveForward from other crowdfunding platforms, and actually just make us a better crowdfunding platform in general. But we will be better able to serve our core audience, which is that medical group.
So on top of that, your team has grown exponentially. What would you identify as the 3 most beneficial decisions you made this year to take GiveForward to that next level?
Great question. We had 2 major hires in the last 6 months. We brought on a new CTO who was the former CTO at Grubhub. And what we've learned from that experience is that when you bring someone on who's scaled a team before, they've just been through all the pitfalls and hurdles that you haven't yet experienced. And so as you go through them, everything is just like a little bit smoother, a little bit calmer. And he brings this really great sense of tranquility to what is typically a kind of a chaotic process, right? Like sprint planning and trying to work in features and not disappointing different elements of the team. So I would say we've become like calmer, more organized, and more efficient on the dev side of things, which has been really exciting. And then we also brought in a head of people who not only helps us with our culture and HR strategies, but also helps us in expanding our coaching efforts and really taking what is part of our core values and making sure that we're always extending it to the users in every interaction that we have with them. So those 2 hires have helped us a lot, I think, in growing our team and bringing the right people on board. And of course, they bring a new network, right? So it's easier for us to recruit and easier for us to hire.
Right. I think sticking, when we write our job descriptions, talking about our values and our mission allows us to attract lots of candidates that we might not otherwise get to see. People, we have a lot of people coming in saying, hey, I don't ever apply for a job, but this sounded really interesting. And I think being mission focused and being values focused helps us attract those types of candidates.
Yeah, I mean, a year ago, it seemed like you guys had a pretty awesome culture already. Mm-hmm. So is it just focusing in on those core values then that really, really evokes the sense of culture that you're aiming for?
I think so. And it's core value in our mantra of creating unexpected joy for people. Last year, we started a program. Someone on our team said, well, we always talk about creating unexpected joy for people, and we do it. why don't we give everyone on the team, every employee, $500 to create unexpected joy throughout the year for random strangers, for people on the site, for people in the office. And so everyone has a $500 budget to create unexpected joy. So I think it's, we got this advice one time from Rand Fishkin, who was the former CEO of a company called SEO Moz, who's really well known for their culture. And he said to us, if you want to make your values important, they have to be pervasive in everything you do. Everything from hiring to performance reviews to team meetings, you need to really drive home that these values are important, and they need to be involved in everything you do. And I think we've taken that to heart over the last year, and I think it pays off in terms of really having people focus on what we're doing, like they're doing, and really drawing in great people who want to work at a mission-driven company.
And it helps take that concept of creating unexpected joy and not making it just external about our users, but also making it very much about our coworkers and the experience of being at GiveForward. So it's little things from surprising a team member like a standing desk that they wanted, or towels that are like retreat, or just like little things like that. But it's just like that extra little touch that makes people feel cared for by the people that they're working with.
That's awesome. And so, Ethan, you've mentioned that this is just the tip of the iceberg for crowdfunding. I mean, what's next for GiveForward aside from transitioning to Rails and your new culture mantras and everything? What are your big plans? How can you top this?
I think going back to where this space is going. So right now, when we started, there was 5 crowdfunding platforms. Now there's 1,000. If we look at the top 10 crowdfunding platforms, 5 of the top 10 crowdfunding platforms, their number one category right now is medical. Mm-hmm. So if we're able to reach, there's 50 million people right now in the United States at the very minimum who can't pay their medical bills. So at the very minimum, there's 50 million people that we haven't reached yet, right? And we've only reached this tiny fraction of that. So it's really, if we stay focused on being able to get to, explain to those people what we do, explain to their friends what we do. Every time we tell people that this exists, they can't believe, oh my God, I didn't know you could do that for a friend. We were trying to figure out a way to help. So our goal in front of us right now is just, how do we get out to 50 million people that have never heard about this yet? And because crowdfunding is still such a baby industry, most people, if they've heard of crowdfunding, they think maybe for an arts project. But they never really think, oh, I'm going to start a fundraising page for my friend and let her know that when she's battling cancer and she feels isolated, that she's not alone. So that's really our goal going forward. We need to get out there and make sure that people know about this.
So what is sorry, Disree.
No, I was just going to add that, our ambition is to be the first place people think of when a loved one's in need. And Ethan was just describing how much room there is for us to take that lead position, to be the brand that people associate with crowdfunding for the people that they love. And so that's what we're going to be working really hard on over the next year.
So what has been your best approach so far to getting these people who don't know about you, spreading awareness? Because when we see it, it doesn't come off as advertising. It's really clever marketing.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's so intentional. No, I think we're really lucky in our model, honestly, that the way people hear about GiveForward is because someone that they know is using the site and recommending the fundraiser to friends in their network. So Facebook is still the number one driver of traffic to our fundraising pages, and it will continue to be for a long time. So I think that it's just the inherently viral and social nature of our platform, but there's still a lot of gains to be made there. I mean, we only have really scratched the surface in terms of what we can do to make our site really sticky and exciting for the visitors who come, people even that aren't necessarily ready to donate but want to engage. So there's a lot more that we can do on the marketing side there, but it's an exciting opportunity because it is really limitless, right? People have a lot of friends who really do care about following that journey, and we have a lot of potential to be the brand and the main point of contact for that interaction.
Yeah, I think going off of what Chase said also, I love when I'm on Twitter or Facebook and I see that you guys have posted somebody's story. And one that really stood out to me that I saw yesterday was 2 sisters raise money for their dad who had cancer. And on his birthday, I'm sure you guys remember it, they gave him the card which everyone had signed on GiveForward. And I think that's been the best way for you guys to get your message out there. And it really, you create unexpected joy, not only for the people you're helping, but anytime, poor Chase, anytime I see this, I'm like, oh, Chase, you've got to hear this story. And so I think the way you guys do that, you've not only created a community for the people who need help, but just for everybody to feel joy during their day.
Yeah, and we got a story yesterday from someone who had her leg amputated, and she had a prosthetic for a while, and then she stopped using the prosthetic, and then someone came to her and said, why don't you have a prosthetic? And so they started a GiveForward page for her, and she wrote us an email, and they raised enough money to get a new prosthetic, which is really expensive. And she wrote us an email yesterday saying, thank you for not only, helping me do this and change my life, but giving me the ability to inspire others. And she didn't realize that she had this ability to inspire others, because other people, other young girls with, who had amputated legs or like reaching out to her saying like, hey, I'm looking up to this person now. And so she was able to inspire others. And I think it isn't just about that one person, creating an unexpected joy for that one person, but all the people that trickle down from that, that those people then touch. And that was pretty meaningful and powerful, I thought.
Yeah, on the note of your campaigns also, you guys have proven that GiveForward campaigns are 20% more successful than other platforms, which is awesome and makes me so happy. But what do you attribute that success to, and how can others apply it?
Well, we don't want others to apply. I think one of the things that really helps GiveForward is that we have a brand that people trust, and that we really do, even on the fundraising pages themselves, we help people associate that campaign with who we are as a company. And it's not that we vet every story that comes through, but what we show is that GiveForward is a legitimate company that has fundraising coaches there to really help people be as successful as possible. And we are devoted to making sure that people have a really great experience on the site, whether they're a donor, a supporter, or a fundraiser. And so I think that strategy just really resonates with donors, and also we've implemented a lot of tools that make it easy to share. And
I think that coaching, as Desiree was talking about, like that same person who with the amputated legs, like when we looked in the notes from our admin notes, they had 10 interactions with our fundraising coaches and coaching them all along with phone calls, emails, and live chats to let them know here's a strategy that you can use that's going to work to help you raise money. And together, we don't want to make people feel like they're on doing this alone, that they have a team behind them, and we can help them, coach them to success.
Yeah, and that we're not just giving them an email drip campaign with tips. I mean, we do have tips that we send people depending on where they are in their fundraising process, but we actually have people that are physically looking at almost every single fundraiser to see what they can do to try to help them, overcome any kind of inertia or get them launched. And so it's just like the level of compassion and care that we put into making people be successful. And we're always learning new strategies from our users that we can then teach to other users about how to be more successful. And then we have some new features that we're excited to roll out in the future that we think will be even better. The other part of the statistic that we don't get to share often enough is that we are really the best crowdfunding platform in terms of the most money going to the actual patient. So even though some competitors claim to be free, they still deduct the processing fees from the money going to the patient. But on GiveForward, because 95% of people donate the fees, the effective rate that our users pay is actually only 0.5%. So 99.5% of every dollar is going to the patient. And no other crowdfunding platform can claim that. So it costs us money as a company. Like, we actually eat a lot of those fees, but we think it's the right decision because it means that we're trying to put as much money as possible into the hands of the people who really need it.
We just had, on the note, you mentioned the importance of your coaches. And we just had a conversation with a founder yesterday who was saying that your brand should uplift people. And it's clear that GiveForward uplifts people. When you're working with your employees and your coaches, what's one thing that you always tell them to make sure that they're creating that unexpected joy? Maybe a technique?
I think for a lot of this, we always say that treat the situation kind of use your judgment to treat the situation appropriately. But oftentimes, it's surprising how often humor is actually a good way to break up. Like, these are tense situations and people are going through difficult times, and saying, hey, it's okay to actually laugh, right? Like, what you're dealing with is very serious, but allowing those people to actually laugh makes them, like, relieves a ton of stress for them. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're going to get through this together. You kind of break the ice, and they realize, all right, it's not such a big deal. We're going to do it chunk by chunk by chunk. But, breaking through that barrier, but with a little humor and laughter when appropriate, is something that's always worked for us.
And we really do reinforce two of our core values with our coaches. One is cultivate through compassion. So it is about, authentically caring and listening to every situation that they're being presented. But then the other one is take fun seriously. And it's like, how can you interject a little bit of humor or levity into the situation in a totally appropriate way? But how do you make this person feel like you're a good friend on the other end of the line and not just someone who's there as a customer service agent?
We had this 86-year-old grandma a couple weeks ago, talking to she had a fundraising page. She was talking to one of our fundraising coaches, and there's a picture of the fundraising coach in the email, so she knew who she was talking to, and she says to him, "You remind me of, who is it?" She said, "This SNL character." It was Jonah. Is it Jonah Hill?
Oh yeah.
Jonah Hill.
Danny.
Yeah, and then so she's like, which he was surprised that this woman even knew who Jonah Hill was. Right? That's his name, right? Jonah Hill?
Yeah.
Even I don't know who it is. And then she calls
He
up.
doesn't watch any movies.
Oh.
I know Jonah. So then she calls up an hour later, and she goes, "Oh no, I was totally wrong. Seth Rogen. You look like Seth Rogen." So like that's like the level that our fundraising coaches are getting with these people, where they become friends with them. And I think that's what makes a big difference for people.
I love it. And so, Desiree, question for you then. I've seen that you've said that your best piece of advice for a rising social enterprise is to start out with a for-profit model. Can you explain the importance of why that is?
Yeah, I think that, well, we are huge fans of nonprofits at GiveForward, so I don't mean to diminish the work that they do, but it is very much an uphill battle for nonprofits after the first couple of years. There's early momentum, early enthusiasm, and an early donor pool because you can draw from your personal network. But because there's no sustainability to the model, often there's donor fatigue within that segment of donors, and you have to keep looking for new people to do the work that you're doing. And if you're a successful nonprofit, your work keeps expanding, so your needs keep expanding. Where if you create a for-profit model from the beginning, you're scaling your revenue at the same time you're scaling your capacity to do the work that you intended to do in the first place. It also allows you to operate at much lower margins. So a lot of nonprofits operate, in the like 20 to 25% overhead space, where GiveForward we operate under 5%.
Wow.
And it's hard to find a nonprofit in the world that operates under those same margins. So I think that one of the best things about a model like GiveForward is that you can do so much good. You can rely on the community to support the work that you're doing, and you can expand appropriately with the expanding need.
Sustaining the good.
So following up with the two of you after almost 12 months was clearly too much for the GiveForward team. There's too much momentum there. So when we meet again during Christmas, what's the biggest goal you want to accomplish?
I think, and we can probably answer separately, but I think one of the biggest goals that we want to accomplish in the next 6 months is really solidifying GiveForward as the brand that people love and associate with a strong community of support, where you will have the most effective fundraiser and where people get to keep most of their money. So we want to be that kind of triple threat in crowdfunding, where it doesn't make sense to go anywhere else because we truly are the best at what we do, the most compassionate, the most successful.
We'll stick with that.
Stick with that.
Yeah, I consider it accomplished already.
Yeah.